Continuation with Indian economic development. Read aloud series, textbook for class 11, doing unit 3, current challenges facing the Indian economy, doing chapter 8, infrastructure. In this, I'm doing some challenges in the power sector. Electricity generated by various power stations is not consumed entirely by ultimate consumers. A part is consumed by power station auxiliaries. Now, what are auxiliaries? It is the electric power that is provided by an alternative source and that serves as a backup for the primary power source at the station. Okay, so we just read that a part of is consumed by power station auxiliaries. Also, while transmitting power, a portion is lost in transmission. What we get in our houses, offices, and factories is the net availability. Some of the challenges that India's power sector faces today are: number one, India's installed capacity to generate electricity is not sufficient to feed an annual economic growth of 7 to 8%. In order to meet the growing demand for electricity, India's commercial energy supply needs to grow at about 7%. At present, India is able to add only 20,000 megawatt a year. Even the installed capacity is underutilized because plants are not run properly. Second point, state electricity boards, SEBs, which distribute electricity incur losses which exceed rupees 500 billion. This is due to transmission and distribution losses, wrong pricing of electricity and other inefficiencies. Some scholars also say that distribution of electricity to farmers is the main reason for the losses. Electricity is also stolen in different areas, which also adds to the woes of SEBs. Third, private sector power generators are yet to play their role in a major way. Same is the case with foreign investors. Fourth, there is general public unrest due to high power tariffs and prolonged power cuts in different parts of the country. Fifth, thermal power plants, which are the mainstay of India's power sector, are facing shortages of raw materials and coal supplies. Thus, continued economic development and population growth are driving the demand for energy faster than what India is producing currently. More public investment, better research and development efforts, exploration, technological innovation and use of renewable energy sources can ensure additional supply of electricity. Instead of investing in the power sector by adding to installed capacity, the government has gone for privatization of power sector and particularly the distribution, which I'm going to read out in the box 8.2 later, and allowed much higher prices of electricity that have impacted certain sectors very badly. For that, we will see box 3.3. So the question is, do you think it is the right policy? Let's just take box 3.3. So reading box 3.3, that is which I read before when we were doing LPG, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. So I'm going to read that again. It is about the Sircilla tragedy that took place. So in this, the powers, as part of liberalization, privatization and globalization, the government hiked the power tariffs. Further, while the power sector reforms have led to a hike in tariffs, the power producers have failed in providing quality power to the power loom industry. Since the wages of the power loom workers are linked to the production of cloth, power cut means cut in wages of weavers who were already suffering from hike in tariffs. This led to a crisis in the livelihood of the weavers, and this has come to be a lot of suicides took place, and that came to be known as Sircilla tragedy, a town in the South India, Telangana, I think. So I'm just going to read from here. As you can see, power sector reforms in many Indian states led to do away with the supply of electricity at subsidized rates and steep rise in power tariff. This has affected workers engaged in small industries. Power loom, textile industry in Andhra Pradesh is an example. Since the wages of the power loom workers are linked to the production of cloth, power cut means cut in wages of weavers who were already suffering from hike in the tariff, as I just told you, which I just read. This led to a crisis in the livelihood of the weavers, and 50 power loom workers committed suicide in a small town called Sasala in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, that is. So, do you think the power tariff should not be raised? Or what would be your suggestions to revive small industries affected by these reforms? Sasala tragedy. So 8.2, Power Distribution, the case of Delhi. Since independence, power management in the capital has changed hands 4 times. The distribution of electricity rests with 2 leading private sector companies, Reliance Energy Limited, BSES, Rajdhani Power Limited, and BSES Yamuna Power Limited, and Tata Power Limited, NDPL. They supply electricity to approximately 28 lakh customers in Delhi. The tariff structure and other regulatory issues are monitored by the Delhi Electricity Regulatory Commission (DERC). Though it was expected that there will be greater improvement in power distribution and the consumers will benefit in a major way, experience shows unsatisfactory results. Box 8.3, Saving Energy. Promoting the case of compact fluorescent lamps, CFL. According to the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, BEE, CFLs, that is, compact fluorescent lamps, consume 80% less power as compared to the ordinary bulbs. As put by a CFL manufacturer, Indo-Asian replacement of 1 million 100-watt bulbs with 20-watt CFLs can save about 80 megawatt in power generation. This amounts to saving rupees 400 crore. Well, the sources use common sense to solve power crisis by Naresh Minocha in Tehelka, 1st October 2005. Look at the following table. Do you think energy consumption is an effective indicator of development? Certainly it is. You can just see for yourself. India, per capita income in US dollars to 2012 PPP is 3,840, and the per capita consumption of energy kg of oil equivalent in 2010 is 575. Okay, then the next is Indonesia is 4,810 ppp, and this is 864. Egypt 6,640, and this is the per capita consumption of energy is 938, etc. So you can see here USA, you can see the per capita income, and you can see the per capita consumption is the highest. So absolutely it is that if you see the pattern of energy consumption of a country, you can know that where do they stand in the queue in development in the world, or in the countries of the world.